Chelsea are £2 billion in debt and I can't sign anybody for 10 years, which is kind of the scenario we were all expecting to happen a few years ago when they were throwing money around like absolute maniacs. You don't hear a lot of talk about that now, but don't worry. The powers that be were watching and have retroactively punished them with a 10-season transfer embargo. So let's see if all of those fancy signings on 15-year contracts were really as good as they thought they were going to be, because that is going to be what we have to build this squad around for the entirety of this save. And on top of that, old Todd, he didn't like that, so he's gone and he's taken his money with him. So in addition to a 10-year transfer embargo, we have £2 billion worth of debt that we have to repay over the course of this save as well. If you enjoyed my Rebuilding Barcelona series from a few years ago, this is like that, but 10 times harder, because A, the debt's twice the size, B, it's Chelsea. And our goal is simple. Goal number one, win the Premier League. And I think our best chance of that is probably in the first season before we have to rely on loads of youth players. So we are going to try and win the Premier League this year without signing any players based on the Chelsea squad at the start of the game. And our long-term goal is to win the Champions League whilst getting the club out of debt. Let me know down in the comments if you think we're going to manage to pull this one off. And let's have a look to see exactly what the situation is here at Chelsea. So firstly, there is your confirmation of the transfer embargo, which actually in the game world is a 12-year one rather than a 10-year one. These are the rules of the transfer embargo. We are allowed to potentially get around it if we have fewer than 24 established players. This would be loans and free transfers only. So there is the potential to bring in some business later on. Obviously, we are a long way away from having 24 or less established players. An established player is considered to be a player over the age of 21 who's played at least 5 appearances for the club. Obviously, this is a squad that's got about 90 players in at the moment. But if we fall into the situation when we have fewer than 24 of those, we can sign loans or free transfers on no more than 10k a week. It's not likely that we're going to be able to bring anybody in, but there is a potential loophole around it. In addition to that, as mentioned, we have debts. The club balance looks fine. This less so. Obviously, there's a big part of transfer debt, but we also have a £1 billion debt that's repayable on the departure of the chairman. The reason I've put that in is to basically stop us just being bought out and having the debts cleared. I think by having that in there, it's pretty unlikely a takeover is going to happen. And then we've got these 2 bank loans, and these are, by my best Googling, the loans that Chelsea actually have in real life. So a £755 million loan that's due by July of 2027, then a £410 million loan that's due August of 2033. So that's 10 years after the start point of the save. So that first billion needs to be gone in these 10 years. That second billion will only go if there is a takeover of the club. And as mentioned, the squad here at Chelsea is absolutely enormous. If we have a look at just the sheer quantity of players at the club who are on, I don't know, let's say more than 10 grand a week. Let's consider them first team candidates if they're on more than 10 grand a week. There's 40 players of that caliber at the club at the start of the save, plus a bunch of promising youngsters with decent potential as well. Obviously, a lot of these players are out on loan, but will eventually be coming back to us. There is also a pre-arranged transfer of Jadon Sancho, which is going to be allowed to go through, I think, because it's a pre-arranged transfer. Even though in real life, I think Chelsea are wriggling out of it. It is hard-coded into the game. But in addition to having the big stars that they spent all that money on, the likes of Enzo and Nkunku and Cole Palmer, who isn't as good in Football Manager as he maybe was in real life, there is obviously these bunch of exciting young players, both the ones that have been purchased, like Gusto, like Chukwuemeka, like Cassidy, but there's also a few homegrown boys at the club as well that we're definitely going to have to integrate and use in the squad at risk of losing them if we don't. For example, somebody like Jimmy J Morgan, he's got 4 stars that potentially is wanted by a lot of Premier League clubs. Obviously, he's a player we are going to have to be using, or else he's going to leave, and we can't really let him leave because we don't know if we're going to get a better standard than that come through. I'm so confident that it's going to be fine that before the first match is even played, we've let a player leave. Axel Disasi has gone to Real Madrid. Now, this is more a case of get him out there, get him playing some game time, see if he's any good, get him back if he is, because he's just not going to get game time while he's here. We're probably going to use a 4-2-3-1 because you know me, I love a 4-2-3-1. If we look at the squad planner, there's so much strength in depth throughout the entire squad. Even with Disasi not here at centre-back, there's Fofana, there's Badiashile, there's Colwell, there's Tosin. So, you know, we've got 4 good centre-backs right there. There's youngsters knocking around ready to come through into the first team squad as well. But even in positions where this says we're weak, we've got James, we've got Gusto. That seems fine. We've got 4 first team quality goalkeepers. We've got multiple players who can play left back, defensive mid. I mean, there's so much strength in depth everywhere. The challenge is going to be keeping enough of these players happy so that we don't get down to a squad of like 18 super quickly. If we can keep this squad together with them as the ages they are, there's no reason why in 3 or 4 seasons time, when the likes of Sancho and Jackson and Enzo and João Felix and Madueke and Palmer and Lavia, Caicedo, when these boys are like 27, 28, they could win the Champions League. We just need to keep enough of them happy and keep enough of them at the club. So that's the goal for this season. Win the Premier League whilst trying to keep these players happy. The danger that we've got is these loan repayments, because as you can see, just going through 1 month, we've already plunged into our overdraft, and that is going to accumulate quickly because of those loan payments. So we might reach a point where we're forced into selling players to balance the books, or potentially more worrisome, we might reach a point where we're banned from the Champions League through failing FFP, which does make it harder to win if we're not allowed to play in it. And also, of course, means that players who want to play in the Champions League will then potentially want to leave. But this is my team for the first day of the season. I think that's a really good team. I think that is an 11 capable of I think that's 10 plus Robert Sanchez that are capable of winning the Premier League. Let's see how we get on. And that, boys and girls, is how you start a Premier League season when you're planning on winning the league. 4 wins from 4, top of the league. That includes a Premier League victory over Manchester City and Arsenal. This is going to be easy peasy. Come on now, look at us go. And then it all went wrong. Well, wrong-ish. I mean, we've still only lost 2 games. We're now into November. There's been a couple of iffy results. Losing against Brighton and then drawing with Sheffield United is not ideal. It's also absolute madness that Mudryk seems to be our best player, averaging a 7.46, 5 goals in all competitions. That's an unexpected outcome. But we are through to the quarterfinal of the EFL Cup. I don't know that anyone necessarily cares about that. We did lose against Villa in the league as well. And after 11 games, Liverpool are starting to pull clear at the top of the Premier League, which is not ideal. We also, we don't worry about that. That's going to be fine. Well, you know, before when I said, it's not really all gone wrong, it's just a couple of defeats, it's now really all gone wrong. If we look at the couple of months since I last checked in with you, we didn't win a game in November, losing against Liverpool and Man United in the league, drawing with Fulham. We then had a little bit of a semi comeback at the start of December, but we've now gone 5 games without a win again, including getting knocked out of the EFL Cup. We now can't win that, much sadness. But we've lost to Forest, we've lost to Brentford, we've got absolutely smashed by Manchester City. And as we hit the January transfer window, we're down in 7th place in the league. We're already effectively out of the title race. Mudryk's still our best player, but we are in a very real danger of not qualifying for the Champions League. I mean, theoretically, top 5 will get in, so we're only 3 points behind, so we could still turn that around maybe, but the financial situation continues to deteriorate. We've got a few players asking to leave as well, which is what we were hoping to avoid, because we didn't want to get in a situation where key players move on, because then we start to lose squad depth, because obviously we can't replace them. But at the same time, we need to balance that with, well, we do need to clear the debt. That was kind of the plan. And what we don't want to do is have this overdraft just turn into another loan. If we've got ourselves into a situation where we can't have a board takeover because of that £1 billion debt, then the only other way the game is going to be able to wriggle us out of it, theoretically, is to continue refinancing the debt, or give us some of those mystery soft drink sponsorships, which are always very welcome in Football Manager. I could use a mystery soft drink sponsorship around about now. In fact, let's look at the sponsorship situation. These are the current sponsors. I mean, there's a lot of them. We'll keep an eye on this to see if any more mystery sponsorships just turn up. But this is the 11 as we head into January, and yeah, it's I mean, the 11 still looks fairly strong. I mean, obviously a couple of these are not at the club. All I've done here is gone pick best 11, so I don't know if we can recall Kepa. We cannot. I don't think we can recall Sterling. I don't know that recalling Sterling is even the answer anyway. We've got a lot of attacking midfield players, but we do need to stop the rot, and we can't do it with transfers. What we can potentially do is get rid of a couple of the want-away boys and hope that that just improves the overall mood at the club, because that's not ideal. And sooner or later, they're going to notice the bank balance. That's going to make them even more upset. Right, the recovery has begun. We've won a couple of games in the Premier League. We're also doing quite well in the FA Cup. We have lost against Arsenal in the league. All that good stuff earlier in the season, where we beat Manchester City, we beat Arsenal. They've just beat us in the return fixtures. It's all evened out. But this is what the Premier League looks like at the end of the January window. We're up to 6th, only 3 points behind Manchester United in 5th. We need Brighton to stop messing around and get out of the Champions League positions. And there has been a little bit of transfer business as well, obviously only in an outward direction. But Mark Cucurella has gone to Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia for 27 million. Robert Sanchez has gone to Al Nassr for 21 million. They're not big money deals, but they get rid of unhappy players and hopefully stave off the debt collectors for a little while at least. We've loaned out a few of the young players as well. So we've now got fewer unhappy players. You can see club atmosphere is starting to turn around. The balance is slightly better than it was, although we are now a day away from the next bunch of loan repayments coming through. And yeah, we need to get string some wins together, and at the very least get ourselves into the Champions League. So if we're not even in the Champions League, obviously that leads to further financial problem, and that would not be ideal. And we did string some wins together, beating Brighton, Sheffield United, Wolves and Burnley in consecutive matches. I mean, it's a lovely little run of fixtures. It's got us back up to 3rd in the league. Still no chance of winning the Premier League this year, but starting to look pretty good for getting into those Champions League qualification spots, assuming we're allowed in. So we're allowed to make a loss of no more than 4.28 million over a 3-year period. We're currently operating at a profit, or projected a profit, of 38 million. So we should be okay, I hope. I really hope. We just need to keep on winning, and it is a tougher run of fixtures now. We've got to face the likes of Liverpool, Man United. I mean, Spurs are in there, so that's a nice easy 3 points. And that little run was pretty tricky. March was not a fun month other than playing Fulham, but April has been much better, including a nice big win over Manchester United, which was really important for our potential Champions League qualifications. You can see that we are now on the cusp. 3 games to go. We're 8 points clear of Brighton, who are down in 6th place. Also 8 points clear of Man United in 5th place. So we should finish top 4 and not even have to worry about the coefficient thing that gives us the 5th spot. Christopher Nkunku, by the way, 2nd top scorer in the Premier League. 28 goal contributions from 35 matches, largely playing as a striker. We're now £340 million overdrawn, and teetering on the brink when it comes to Champions League. We might have to sell a player early summer. I don't know when they judge that. Does anyone know when they judge that? And there we have it, the end of the season. We have finished 3rd. We won our last 3 games. We've actually turned into a pretty good team at the end of the season there, winning 8 games out of 9, the only blot being that thumping at the hands of Liverpool, but it's been relatively comfortable on the pitch. We're still 14 points off the pace of Manchester City, who won the league, well behind Liverpool as well. So in reality, you'd be looking at that thinking this is a team that needs a couple of transfers to get us over the finish line. But my greatest fear has happened. That has gone red. We are now projected to make a loss of £15 million over that 3-year period. We're currently at a £36 million loss. We're projected to bring a little bit more in, but we need to find some money from somewhere. Everyone's happy. They're going to get a lot less happy if we don't get in the Champions League financially. And I just don't know if they're going to let us in or not. I guess we'll find out in the next episode, because that is the end of season 1. We're going to do a part 2 of this. Part 2 will probably get 3 or 4 seasons done, pick up the pace a little bit. We've set the premise now. You've got the idea, and you can see the size of the task that we've got. We're hemorrhaging money, so we need to do something about that. We have got some decent young players, although most of them have now been drafted into the squad. What was our youth intake like? I mean, he is going to be important. Oh, he is going to be important. 4.5 stars of potential, 6'1", only 16 years old. Sekou Ghana, remember the name. He is going to be our main man, but only one decent young player. We're going to need better youth intakes than that going forward, but he is definitely somebody that we need to start integrating into the first team relatively soon, because if he ends up like 6'4", 6'5" by the time he's 18, 19 years old, with that acceleration and pace, he could be an absolute superstar. We've got Sancho joining us permanently, and it is like we've got new transfers coming in, because the likes of Sterling, Neto, Chalobah, Kepa are all returning from their loans. So we're probably going to have to do some kind of squad trimming just to stay within wage budgets, and obviously selling for as much as possible to try and sort out the overall balance and the Champions League thing. But I am still confident, with 9 seasons to go, that I can get the club out of debt, win the Premier League and win the Champions League. Let me know in the comments if you think that's possible. And if you want to have a go at playing on this database yourself, you can download the save file from Patreon, patreon.com/LOLLUJO. If you've enjoyed that video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.